My name is Phelicia Jones. I am with Wealth and Disparities in the Black community, Justice for Mario Woods. We can, we must win in the name of justice. In the name of justice. In the name of justice for Mario Woods. In the name of justice for Jessica Williams. In the name of justice for all others who've been brutalized by police brutality here in San Francisco.
We want to thank y'all for coming out for this town hall meeting. The last one was successful, but I really kind of like this one. I got a lot of good spirit about it. But real quickly, because we're up under a lot of time, I just want to kind of like give some of the newer folk that don't know a whole lot about the wealth and disparity in the Black community, Justice for Mario Woods. We're not new. We were here from the beginning of it all. Names have changed, few things have changed, faces have changed, but Phelicia was here. She started. She was at the beginning of it, and she's still here. And the names just changed. Give her a hand. Give her a hand. Give Phelicia a hand.
I'm gonna bring my nephew up, and he's going to take us on in, and that is Mr. Jeffrey Stewart Jr.
Thank y'all for the love. Once again, my name is Jeff. Lifetime Bayview resident, family member, and childhood friend of Mario Woods. I was brought here today to unveil our new portrait that Mel Waters gave to us. It's a very beautiful portrait right here in front of us. But I'm tired of seeing people that grew up with me and look like me on the floor. I'm tired of it. Whether it's from us or the police, I'm tired of it. What are we gonna do about it? We put together this town hall meeting to try to, find a middle ground between us and the police who, I'm just gonna say it, we're terrorized out here. I can tell you 100 stories from when I was a little kid, how many times I got stopped by the police unjustly, how many times I got, not on probation, not on no paperwork, how I had police running through my pockets, how I had them chasing me, all, doing a whole bunch of stuff that they wasn't supposed to do, and we kind of get used to it, and people use violence that is portrayed in the neighborhood as a way to say, well, they're gonna commit violence against each other anyway, and we kind of overlook it, but it's not right either way. And putting a black chief in a city that doesn't care about black people should tell you something. I'm not here to talk down on this man or nothing because I don't know him. I can't speak negatively of him, but I know how they put black faces in front of black people so we lose focus on what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I look at the crowd and I appreciate all y'all for coming out, but this is not this community. This is not the people from this community. A few of y'all may live here, but y'all don't experience living in this community like other people do. So I'm hoping that this dialogue is gonna get us somewhere and we're not just sitting here smiling in each other's faces and doing the whole runaround that's been going on for the last 60, 70 years. I hope we actually get some ground. I'm not comfortable with the police, but we gotta do something. They here, they not going nowhere. We here, hopefully we not going nowhere. So we gotta figure out something. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we have to figure out something. John Burns said that that 1/4 of the people that are killed have mental issues. I don't like putting, I feel like everybody got mental issues out here. We all got problems. So whether If that's a reason to kill somebody because they got mental issues, I guess the whole world needs to go, because we all got problems. I don't know nobody that's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Mario's situation was a situation where he was supposed to be arrested or stopped or something. There was, me personally, I don't feel like every tool was used to stop this man. It's messed up because different parts of the city get policed way different. This would never happen in Presidio. This would never happen in the Sunset. This would never happen where black people are not. So if we're gonna sit here and talk about doing something, we need to talk about how people are policed in different parts of the city. And you as a black man, I would hope that that's something that's important to you. I'm doing what I can. I used to be out here doing a whole bunch of crazy, stupid stuff that I should probably still be in jail for, but after seeing stuff like this, after growing up and seeing that it's nothing but negativity around here, it's my obligation to change it, or I might as well go put on a badge and go kill my own people too. So I'm trying to build up something to not work with police, but to help the situation. And it's other people that's out here doing that. So I'm hoping that you can bring a change in a police force that doesn't care about black people in this city, because that's what it is. The police force in general does not care about black people in this city, and that's what we need to address. I don't know how, like I said, but I'm hoping that that's what we can get from this meeting tonight.
Change has come. We now have a chief who I feel has already proven to me that he has a profound understanding and a sense of empathy. He has been willing to listen to the mass cross-section of people in the city and county of San Francisco. I believe that he is going to be a man who's going to make some serious, bold changes that you all can be proud of. And I do believe that he is going to make San Francisco Police Department be the model for the universe to follow of 21st century policing. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you my friend, my chief, and I want to call him Moses, who's going to bring about the serious change that we're looking for, and that is Chief William Scott.
Good evening, everybody. So let me start off by saying, first of all, I am, thanks for having me here, first of all. And Ms. Jones, thanks for inviting me to this town hall. But I want to start off by saying to Ms. Woods, Ms. Piper, and anybody else here who has lost a family to violence, particularly police violence. As a human being, I'm truly sorry for your loss. On behalf of the San Francisco Police Department, we're truly sorry for your loss. Now, I've been in this business for 27 years. I've been in San Francisco for 6 weeks. And I know I'm not a native San Franciscan. I know I'm not from the city. But I'm not new to the issues that have been brought up here tonight and the issues that I'm here for. Just a little bit of background on me, because I want to hear from you, but I'll give you a little bit of background on me for those of you who don't know my story. I was in Los Angeles as a part of the LAPD for 27 years. About half of those years, I was in communities of color. I saw a lot. Saw a lot of tragedy, saw a lot of heartache. I saw things that we did wrong. I saw things that were just outright criminal, that had to be fixed. And I understand what that means. I understand the impact of how any police department can change the lives of families and individuals. I understand that. You mentioned about what you have endured. I think there's probably a lot of people here that can tell that same story. And the only way things change is somebody, first of all, has to speak up about things that need to change. And second of all, in this country, I don't know of any major change in the trajectory of this country that didn't come without struggle, in a lot of cases, conflict. So I'm good with that. This department is good with that. The change doesn't happen overnight. A lot of times, change doesn't come easy. And a lot of times, it takes people to force the issue. And the reason that we're all here tonight, me and the colleagues from San Francisco PD, is because we want to hear what you have to say. And I know, like what was said earlier, that a lot of times these meetings don't result in anything. But we do have an opportunity to make things better. We do have an opportunity to listen to what's being said to us and make things better. And I think some things are getting better, but we still got a long way to go. Regardless of how I got here, I'm here, and I'm here to try to make things better. And I can tell you that the people that I'm working with are committed. And I know we have to show you that we are committed, and we have to show you by our actions, not by me standing up here with the microphone telling you what we're gonna do. We have to do what it is that we said we're gonna do. I expect to be held accountable for that. I expect you to hold us accountable to that. And if we mess up, we need to say we're sorry. If we mess up, we need to fix it. So I'm not gonna stand up here and give you excuses and give you a bunch of statistics. This is about real people, real issues, and I think that's what we're here to talk about. So with that, I'll turn the mic over back to Ms. Jones, and I think you guys have a bunch of questions for us and for me, and that's what we'll go with.
Okay, Gwen would like to say a few words.
First, I need to explain and thank you. I'm not a mother of a movement. I don't ever want that. I'm just Mario's mother. I don't want Mario to get lost in anything. But when I opened the video up, all I saw was shoot him down like an animal. Animals need to be shot down. I saw it all flooded back, and that's the way they took my baby out. Let me tell you an analogy of when I worked with Bayview, California, 16 years for a forced resignment. And I'm gonna say this guy's name, Fernando Gonzalez, right after President Barack Obama made it into office, had the audacity to walk into my office and say, nigger. Here's what tells you who the man or women you're gonna be when you have to stand up and say unacceptable. Unacceptable. I knew my dad would be turning in his grave because he came out of Beaumont, Texas on what San Francisco is now catapulted off. Jeff said it correct. You don't see a lot of Bayview here tonight, Chief. They're so complacent and okay with the abuse that Bayview has taken on. They don't even feel like it's worth coming here to express. I had mentioned this to you. I walked clear across from Mario's gravesite, clear across the cemetery to my grandfather, World War I veteran. My dad was naval, his dad, and yes, we were married. Some years before I had to come back to California, San Francisco, and take care of my terminally ill mother. We lost a lot. We just need men above reproach that can't be bought or sold, have some integrity to stand on it, and not look at a group of people, our community, as animals, dogs. Because if you view me as an animal, that's the way you're gonna conduct yourself, like I'm an animal. They didn't even do Mario like an animal. I have 2 sons. I have to keep afloat. They can't even deal with this. My oldest son said, when I see it, I see evil. I'm falling back on everything my parents have taught me. A man of integrity, a man that has to have a word, a man that is not scared to take on this city and its POA and all the jargon that follows, because San Francisco has been for sale for so long. And God is asking somebody to come in and say, guess what? It stops here. My prayers for you, because it's a harsh job. I don't say that the job that you men do is not harsh, and we're not saying that if a person commits a crime, they should be accountable for it. But they should be able to walk out alive to tell their side of the story. I'll always have this banter with God, why my baby? What kind of person was Mar? When they let me go of the company, and I said, Mar, at 55, how do I reinvent myself? And he says, Mom, you'll be okay with the gray hair and all. I miss those talks. I miss that. Yeah, I am so totally trusting that God will give you the wherewithal to say, guess what? You're gonna make the difference. That it doesn't fall on deaf ears. That mother movement, I'll leave that to my grandmother. I'll leave that to my great-grandmother. I'll leave that to Rosa Parks. I'll leave that. I'm just Mario's mom. And he deserves justice. He deserves justice. We spoke. I told you I was good with whatever God gave me on my plate. 2 jobs, a heavy mortgage, a dying mother, a dying sister, a dying brother. I'm okay. I'm not okay with this. Can't be okay with this.
Justice Mario.
Okay, so again, we continue to fight. We continue to not ask, not beg, but demand justice. How many are standing with us tonight? Stand on your feet. If you're going to stand with us for the long haul, stand on your feet so I can see you, so I can believe that we are not in this by ourselves. This is a movement. This is a struggle. It doesn't last for one day. A movement only takes over time. In a moment, we get angry. In a moment, we get angry. But a movement takes time. And you have to be there for the long haul. Some of you can't come every Thursday night. Maybe you can only come once a month. We will take that. We will take whatever you're willing to give with sincerity and dedication to fight against police brutality in the city and county of San Francisco. Clap it up for yourself.
Reading through different types of handwritings, and I apologize if I mess up your question or stats or anything else. But for starters, the first question is, the POA SF is one of the biggest gangs that enforce the P Bill of Rights without advising or shifting for righteousness. Will you work with them or have them work with you to make change that support what is right?
So working with the POA, the answer is working for change that is right, absolutely. I think it's part of this process. The POA represents the majority of the men and women that work at the San Francisco Police Department. And they are a labor union. They're there to protect the labor rights of the individuals that work for this police department. So a lot of the process in terms of changing policy, changing things, particularly when it impacts the work and the working conditions have to be negotiated through labor unions like with any other profession. In order to get to where we need to get to, working for change, working for right, yes, we have to work with the POA, and we hope that the work that's being done goes in the direction of what's right, of what we need to do as an organization to get better, to be a better police department. But yes, we do have to work with the POA. And there's been a lot of publicized things that have happened leading up to even the use of force policy that were very well publicized within the media. But at the end of the day, the process worked. The labor union was heard, the policy was adopted, and now we have a use of force policy, and that's how the process works. So, short answer to the question is yes, but the longer answer to the question is that we have to respect the process of labor and management and labor in order to get things done, and that process involves having to work with the POA.
Thank you. Next question. Why would you continue with Greg Sir's staff and attempt to convince the public you are a change agent or reformist?
With the exception of the last academy class that I swore in, the majority of this department was under Greg Sir's tenure. The majority of this department. We have some very talented people. And the way I see it, when I was brought in here, we have rules, we have charters, we have things that we have to abide by, and we have to work with the people that we have. And if they're not doing their jobs, there's a process for that. Are we gonna hold people accountable when they're not doing right by the citizens or the residents of the city? And that answer is flatly this: yes, we will. And if I'm not doing that, I expect to be held accountable. It's just that simple. I don't have a right to stay here in this position if I'm not doing my job.
How do you plan to hold police accountable when you can't control someone's thought process or actions?
And that goes back to the last thing I said. You know, there's the holding folks accountable needs to be done in the right way. Because the last thing that I want to do as the chief of police is to make a decision that's not a sound decision, and then not only hold the person accountable that's not doing right, but have that person come back and sue the city and get a bunch of money on top of not being held accountable. Accountability is a process that needs to be fair. We need to give people their rights as employees. We need to give people, just like the legal process, but we have to do our jobs. Our investigations have to be done thoroughly and timely. We have to dot the I's and cross the T's, so when we do have somebody that's not doing what they're supposed to do, we have the mechanism to give it to the police commission and let the police commission do their jobs. Because in the way our charter and our rules are written, the police commission has the power to terminate. But they can't do that if we don't do our job. So it goes back to what I said earlier. You guys have to hold me accountable to doing my job. That's where it starts and ends. And I know, as I said earlier, you don't mind doing that, but that's where it starts and ends. And it goes up and down the chain of command. The sergeants, the lieutenants, the captains, we all have to do our jobs. Accountability is about that. It's about doing our jobs, and when we're not, we have to hold each other accountable.
Given the city of San Francisco's track record for minimal response to acts of police violence against the community, how do you plan to utilize your new position to turn the tide of mistrust and fear?
With that question, there's a couple of things. Can't go back and change the past. All we can do is look forward and deal with what we have in front of us. The process needs to be as transparent as it can be under the law, first of all, because accountability comes with transparency. You all have to know what we're doing. You have to be able to look within the law, because there's certain things, personnel files and that type of thing, that cannot be released, but We have to give the public, the residents of this city, the ability to look at what we do.
At a recent neighborhood meeting, our white captain told the largely white and Asian audience that he was involved in addressing the DOJ recommendations. He said that most of them were on the level of keeping the paper clips on the right side of the desk instead of the left. Would you agree? How would you respond to him, or what would you tell this audience?
No, I don't agree. And I would tell the audience, first of all, if it happened that way, I'm sorry it happened that way. That is not the behavior or the comments that we expect from a captain of police of the San Francisco Police Department. That is not the behavior that we expect of a captain of police of the San Francisco Police Department. This is about implementing recommendations that we believe will make us a better police department, a police department that engages in fair and impartial policing. It's not about a process. It's not about, as was stated, putting one paperclip on one side of paper. It's not about that. This is about being a better police department that can police every part of this city in a fair and impartial way. And if our captains don't get that, then we got a problem. And if we can find out who that captain was, we can address it.
How long until we see community policing, i.e. cops out of cars?
Well, hopefully you're already seeing cops out of cars. We'd like to put more cops on foot, more officers on foot. Captains are making some attempts to do that. We know that form of policing works because our officers get out and they engage with the community that they serve. They get to know the community. We know it works. It also is very, very expensive to do that, and you have to have enough people to do that because somebody's got to be responding to the 911 calls as well. So we have already started to try to put more cops on the street, and Deputy Chief Redmond, who is in charge of our Operations Bureau, is working as hard as he can to do just that, and hopefully you're seeing that. But that's going to be another thing that we have to work toward. By the end of this year, we'll have more officers than we have right now. By the tune, hopefully, of about 100 more officers than we have right now. That gives us an opportunity to put more officers on foot. We know it works. We know the community's been asking for it. We'd like to see more of it. We just got to balance our resources to make sure we can do it.
What would convince you to continue the ban on tasers?
Well, right now, tasers are not a part of our tools in terms of use of force. One of our recommendations that we intend to follow through on from the Department of Justice is that the Police Commission considers the use of tasers as an option. I personally support that, and I know that tasers aren't an end-all. I know that tasers have resulted in some tragic situations. That is a fact. But it is an option when used properly and when used with the proper training and the proper policy, can save lives, and it can be done. If we don't get tasers, we don't get tasers. We have a use of force policy. But it is an option. It's an option that I support, and it's an option that can save lives, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens.
2016, SFPD use of force data showed most use of force incidents involve police using a gun, and Black people are very disproportionately the targets of use of force. 1/3 of police use of force incidents in Q1 2016 involved police using a gun on Black people. What is your reaction to this data, and how will you use this data to make decisions?
One of the things with this data that I maybe some of you know this, some of you don't. In most police organizations, Drawing a gun and pointing a gun at an individual is not reportable. It's not even reported. You can't shoot people until you draw your weapon. And one of the things that this organization, the San Francisco Police Department, and I'm very proud of this happened before I got here, but this is something that you don't see in law enforcement. When an officer pulls a gun on a person in this department and points it at an individual, it's a reportable use of force. Now what that does, and I'll get to this question, what that does is it gives us the ability to look at that data set and craft our policies and our training to what we are seeing. We just started doing this not too long ago. The data for the third quarter of this year, there were 701 instances where an officer pulled their firearm and pointed at an individual. Now, there were 158,000 police contacts during that same period. However, if we didn't have this policy in place, we would not be able to determine who we're pulling guns on. You told a story about what you experienced growing up. You ever had a gun pulled on you by a police officer? It wasn't reported. Unless we pulled the trigger, it wasn't reported. So the thing that he talked about, that he experienced when he was growing up, there's no way we can go back and look at that and validate what he's saying. Now we can. That's a tremendous data set to be able to give us the ability to address the proportionality of not only who we're using force on, but who we're pulling guns on. Because if anybody in this room has had a gun pulled on them, and I have, it is not the experience that you want. It is not an experience that's pleasant, and you can't pull the trigger if you don't pull the gun out. We crafted our training around de-escalation, and a part of that de-escalation is our tactics are such that officers have assignments in these critical and these crisis situations where there used to be a time where you might get 10 officers to show up and you might get all 10 officers pulling out their gun. Our training is such that now there's designated officers to pull out their gun, their weapon. There's officers that are designated to manage the crowd, so officers don't have to worry about what's behind them. There's officers designated to conduct the arrest if an arrest is warranted. And what that does is it prevents 10 people from pulling out their guns. Now we have to adhere to that training in order for it to work, but the training is in place. The policies are in place, the protocols are in place, and it will make a difference. So those are the type of things that we're trying to do to reduce this disproportionality that was mentioned in this question. Because we know it's a national issue. But when you ask, and the questions are asked, what are we doing by the way of reform? That's one of the recommendations that nobody had to force us to do. We jumped on that right away. It will make a difference, and it's important that you all know what those policies are and what the training are, so you can ask the questions, and that's what the transparency is about. And hold us to that standard.
Will your department start providing statistics of police shootings?
We already do provide those statistics, and you can find them online. We have quarterly reports, we have yearly reports. Those statistics are already there. And if you're not tech savvy and you don't want to go online, just call your station, call the headquarters. We can guide you to where you can get the information, or you can ask. Not everybody has a computer, not everybody has online access, but that information is there and available for whoever wants to see it.
Great, thank you. So this will be our last question. It says, what does success look like to you? How will we know that your promises of accountability are being met? Give us a standard that we can expect.
One measure of success, I don't think anybody in this room will agree with the goal here is, number one, to reduce deaths at the hands of police. I don't think anybody will agree. If that happens while I'm here, then I would call that one success. The other success, and this is measurable, we have a list of things that we have said that we would do and we've committed to. If we don't get them done during my tenure, then it's not a success. Third thing, there's an issue when we have people in the community that feel like they can't trust the police department that's there to help them, when they feel like the policing is unjust or biased, or that certain groups are getting policed a certain way and another group is getting policed another way. That's an issue that we need to address and we need to deal with. So the next success is to change that.